Hello, it's your Commodore here with another Star Trek Discovery review. This one will be Season 2, Episode 6, The Sound of Thunder. And no, I'm not going to be talking about Thor. So, it starts off with a beautiful shot, like a very beautiful shot of Saru's homeworld. And I like it nicely transitions into his quarters and to him. We have a very unnecessary shot with Michael Burnham as Tilly and the android are going through the Rosetta Stone of the galaxy it's the Dead Sea Scrolls of the galaxy. The sphere, that giant organic sphere. We then have Saru in sick bay. He talks to Colburn a bit, where Dr. Colburn is not really feeling like himself. Well, of course, he was dead and brought back to life. And Saru has something relation to that because he was near death and was accepting it, and then all of a sudden, no, Bahara was not dead.
Perhaps you've been feeling less like you were. You were more like who you were meant to become.
But some things changed. Like Nerdrotic would say, the Defticles fell out, and now they're forming teeth.
A new type of keratin-based tissue. It looks like specks growing in like teeth. Does that sound right?
Teeth, yeah. But also that the Kelpian, we all know Kelpians in the last season in a bit, where one major character trait was their fear. Well, after the Bahara, Saru no longer feels fear, or the thing that generates fear in him has been suppressed.
Our neurotransmitter expression patterns. Last year versus today. With years my only Kelpian specimen, forgive the term, it's difficult to say with certainty what these changes mean. But if I had to guess, I'd say your fear responses are being repressed.
So it's kind of weird. Now we get this whole new set of character traits and a whole new thing going on with Saru and the rest of the Kelpie that we now with the Kelpians now. We go to Burnham, Pike, and Tyler talking about the red signals, and have the big debate: is this evil or good? And of course, Tyler gives Section 31's official position.
31's position that if the enemy we're calling the Red Angel is in fact generating these signals, it's also capable of time incursions, and it should be considered dangerous.
Another slap in the face for people of original Trek, because again, Section 31 is a rogue organization that no one knows about. They should not be able to give official positions like they're the Tal Shiar or like they're the Obsidian Order. Section 31 is not acknowledged by any branch of Starfleet or the Federation, so they should not be giving an official opinion of what's happening.
And as for Section 31, that's a little more complicated. Starfleet Command doesn't acknowledge its existence, but they don't deny it either.
Then we hear more about Saru and a bit of a background about his homeworld, because there's now a red burst appearing at his homeworld. And Burnham's going, well, the Barul have had warp technology for 20 years, and it was a very disastrous first contact, and they didn't, so we shouldn't be opening up.
Achieved warp capability 20 years ago. The USS Archimedes made first contact with them after receiving a transmission from Commodore. But once communication was established, the Barul High Council proved hostile.
It wasn't the Barul that contacted Starfleet. It was Saru using Barul technology.
They did not. That transmission was from me.
So I think they assumed too much in this episode that, the Barul had warp capable technology for 20 years because that's when we got to know about the Barul. And it wasn't even through the Barul that we got contacted. It was through Saru using Barul technology. So this leads me to believe that the information we're getting about in this episode about the Barul having 20 years of warp technology is wrong. And I'll point out some of my evidence throughout this video. But we did get a huge retcon in this. It was not the Shinzu that Lieutenant Giorgio met Saru in. No, she was on board the USS Archimedes. So, forget about that. So, Pike's wondering why of now that these red bursts are appearing at the homeworld of his first officer. Did he forget about number one? Or is it that whenever a captain transitions over to another ship, that first officer becomes his first officer? I'm assuming that's how it is. Because we saw something similar happen in the Chain of Command Part 1, where Jericho came over to the Enterprise and Riker was still his first officer. We also learned that the Barul are isolationists. They don't want to be around anyone. So that's my first bit of evidence that they've had warp technology for longer than 20 years. Because a lot of other, like the Tholians, we knew they had warp technology for years. Same with, and just because a species has warp technology doesn't mean you're going to meet them right away. Because, as stated, this is outside of Federation space. Saru's homeworld is outside of Federation space. So, and the nature of the Barul are isolationists and they want to keep to the order of things, the balance of things in their planet. So they might not use their technology to explore outer space. So they might just be warp capable, but they don't want to go anywhere. And it was Saru that introduced the Barul to the Federation. So if Saru didn't use the technology to communicate with Starfleet, who knows if we would even know who they were. And the way that they were scanning the Discovery, that they were only scanning the weapon systems, not the weather system, not life support, not engines, not defense, not shields, no nothing. Just the weapons. Some people say this is lousy writing. I feel like this is another example of how advanced Barul technology might be by being able to pinpoint where they're scanning. I know we've never seen this before. But it could just be some form of scan that we've never seen before. I don't want to make up any... It's hard to explain it, and I'm not going to do the writer's job for this. But then we get a really bullshit move. Like, real bullshit move. Pike, instead of sending the only Kelpian in Starfleet, his first officer, the man that's on the bridge right to his right, down to make contact. He decides to send Burnham.
As a xenomite apologist, I think you're uniquely qualified to talk to a village priest.
Sir, I am the logical choice. I offer my experience. To disregard it is to disregard the suffering of generations of Kelpians.
Really? There was some reasoning why, because he didn't want Saru to. But if you didn't trust Saru, then say, Saru, can you go make contact? Burnham's coming down with you to help. Simple. You didn't have to ignore Saru and go straight to Burnham. So they beam down. Burnham says, if you weren't oppressed, this would be a very beautiful place. He's like, yes, it is. And you get to see the kelp drying on the beach, which is pretty funny. Because they're doubling down that Kelpians eat kelp. And we get to hear Saru's language, the Kelpians' language, for the first time. Sounds pretty interesting. But, of course, the one Kelpian that we run into, I know they asked him to beam down to his hometown or his village. But out of all people he runs up and meets his sister. Out of all the Kelpians in the village, he meets his sister, who has thought he's been dead for the last 18 years. And we find out that his father died shortly after he left, and she became the priestess of that village. With the priests and priestesses, the way that they run it is kind of like they're in charge of that particular village or that sect. It's kind of like how the Bajoran Vedics are. Like each Vedic has their own region or something. Or even today with today in the priests in the Catholic Church and stuff. That they look over their community or how it was. So I appreciate that. Nothing too out of hand. Saru's sister was really impressed meeting Michael and learning that there's like hundreds of thousands of languages and other species out there. But she knows what's happening. Like she has an idea. But out of all the questions she could ask, it's like, how did you meet my brother? Or what's brought you here? And stuff. Or can you help us with the boat? Or something. Anything. But no, the first question, like one of the main questions she asks is, do you drink tea? Also, we hear Burnham saying that she's from Earth, which might come up late, which brings me to a point near the end of the episode, when I get to it. Then shit starts to fly, because I guess the all-watching eye that the Baru put, like the monolith that they have there, that tells the Kelpians when it's time to go get killed, saw Saru and Burnham, and they beam up to Discovery. And that's when the Baru communicate with Discovery. And they have like they only do audio, but you can hear that they're really like intimidating sounded.
Christopher Pike of the USS Discovery. What have we taken exactly?
But which gets thrown out the window after. and we get to see some Barul ships, and man, are they badass. They look amazing. So we see the Discovery surrounded by Barul ships. We get an awesome scene by Captain Christopher Pike. He looks totally badass in this scene. Tells Saru to leave the bridge, but instead he goes to the transport room to surrender himself. Burnham tries to stop him, but hesitates. So he then gets kidnapped by the Barul. You see it. And then you see the Barul rise from their puddle, which makes me think that the Barul, we've seen them before in the episodes Skin of Evil, Armis. I think he's a Barul. I'll do a separate video for that. But then all you have to see is Saru smash, and he rips the shackles off, smashes the droids with his bare hands, saves his sister from the wall, and then is able to create a communicator using the Barul's stuff to contact Discovery. And they agree that yes, the Barul are just protecting themselves because they're afraid of the evolved Kelpians.
Oh, narrowly escaped extinction. Then they turned around and wiped out the evolved Kelpians. Wait, no, unevolved Kelpians, but wait, so all this would mean that the Baulu were originally the prey species.
So, Saru's idea to bring order back to his home world is to make every Kelpian go through Valhalla. So they make all the Kelpians go through Valhalla. Based on the word of Michael Burnham and Saru, because Pike was opposed to it because he didn't want to see the extinction of the Barul. But of course it's Michael Burnham, so you can't argue against Michael Burnham because Burnham's always right. So they make all the Kelpians suffer through Valhalla. Then, without warning, the Barul raise their massive ship headquarters from the ocean, which should have destroyed the village bad, because you have like something that's massive coming out, creating a wave, a tsunami-like wave, which should have easily destroyed the village, anything on the coastline. But no. So they send out the pulses to all their seeing eyes to destroy the entire Kelpian society. Because the Barul will rather commit genocide than try to live with evolved Kelpians again. Just as they were about to do it, you see another badass scene from Pike.
If you choose to murder the entire Kelpian population, you'll become our enemies. Choose wisely.
I love how it was done. And I love the threat that if you killed the Kelpians, you will have to deal with us, the Federation. I love that. But just as the Barul were about to destroy the entire civilization, the Red Angel appears, stops the Barul dead in the track, but we finally get to see a clear image of the Red Angel, and it's female in appearance. Looks like they're wearing some type of, she must know Pym. She must know Hank Pym because it looks like it's a wasp suit. So she was able to shut down the entire Barul network, destroying it. And we see Saru going back to his village, not damaged whatsoever. All the Kelpians wondering what the hell just happened, holding their testicles in their hands, with the giant ship sinking in the background, which surprisingly still didn't create a big enough wave that would have destroyed the entire village anyway. So we see one final scene with Saru and his sister. Saru wants his sister to come up with him. She wants him down, but she can't. They need to rediscover who they are as a people now that they don't have fear in them. And we have this fun thing saying, with Michael saying, no, she has to go back home. And it's not Earth, which he said she's from. No, she has to go back to Vulcan. Yeah. I'm not opposed to that, but it's like, oh, really? So next week's episode's going to be taking place at Vulcan. And we see one final meeting in an empty mess hall, which should never be on a starship. An empty mess hall with Tyler and Pike. Pike gives Tyler Saru's report. Tyler's still adamant that this thing is dangerous. And I love how Pike tried to put him in his place, but I don't like how they gave Tyler the final word. Because Tyler is not his character's not, Ash is not a badass. You just can't convey badass in that character. It looks too forced. So I wish it was Pike saying, you're on my ship, you listen to me. And until you give me some hard evidence, and it's not some Section 31 projection crap, I'm going to think these are not hostile. That's how that episode should have ended. Not with Tyler telling off Pike. So that was the episode for you. Overall, a decent episode with moments of brilliance in it. Some of the writing was sloppy. I like the introduction of the Barul. I still have the theories that A, the Barul had warp longer than 20 years ago, and B, that something happens and that Armis, the creature that killed Tasha Yar, is a Barul. But overall, I was okay with it. It wasn't the best, but it's far from the worst of Discovery. And I'm actually interested to see what they do on the next episode when they go back to Vulcan. Will they keep this tree blossom forestation looking Vulcan, or will they go back to traditional? It's a freaking desert planet. Okay. So take care all. This is your Commodore, Ty Coles. Live long and prosper, people. Hailing frequencies closed. Thank you for watching the video from Commodore Ty. If you'd like to see more, please hit the like button, share, subscribe to the channel, and why not, when you're here, check out one of my other mini videos I've done. Live long and prosper. Hailing frequencies closed.